Hi, I'm Wendy, and today I'm making informational videos because some of this information is really important. It would have been to me as a mom of a special needs child, brain injured child. It's about constipation, and a lot of the a big portion of the United States is constipated, so it's not only for brain injured children or special needs children. Bree, my daughter, was constipated for the first 30 years of her life. I had to use suppositories every day for the first 30 years. Even though, when we changed to the plant-based diet, it looked after her grand mal seizures, which I'll be talking about later. But she still was constipated, and what changed that was an increase in fruit and vegetables. That's what changed it. It was green smoothies. Green smoothies changed it all up, and then she started having regular bowel movements every day. So I have a video on green smoothies. It's, as far as I'm concerned, it was part of our daily, what we both had daily. So, the things for constipation is fiber and liquid. Enough water and enough fiber. And the thing is that all animal foods have zero fiber. So that's a really important thing to look at. Also, dairy is, for constipation, needed to be avoided. Dairy of all kinds, because it's constipating. For an example, to make 1 pound of cheese, it takes 10 pounds of milk. Extremely constipating. Along with bread and with pastas, wheat products. So if you're going to have them, Bree only had rice noodles that were made. There were Chinyata noodles out of Scarborough, Ontario, I think. And they're only made in a gluten-free factory. So that's something to consider. These are just going to be ideas and things to consider. So, there are things I didn't know about when Bree was alive, like celery juice for your whole digestion. It will bring back the hydrochloric acid in your stomach like nothing else will. And if I had known about that, Bree would have been on celery juice first thing every morning. I would have started small, like with a couple ounces, 4 ounces, and I would have really tried to work up to as high as I could with her. I don't know. For her size, I would say at least 10 ounces a day. But I didn't. But this is something I highly recommend. I have a YouTube video on making celery juice. I think everybody should be on celery juice. And of course the celery needs to be organic. That aside, there are some herbs that I'd like to tell you about because I know it's such a challenge for everybody. I'll talk also about the other unproductive foods that would get in the way of normal bowel movements, and I'd also talk about some of the foods that you might want to increase in your diet or your family's diet to help promote a better functioning system. Okay, so what we've got here is magnesium. Magnesium is really important. Actually, one of the things about magnesium is when you've hit the amount you need because your stools will get loose. So we can have magnesium in many different forms. Remember that flaxseed is the highest plant-based food with magnesium in it. And like Dr. Greger on nutritionalfacts.org, great site to go to, nutritionalfacts.org. Dr. Greger and his team, and when he wrote the book, How Not to Die, which basically means how not to die before your time, one of the recommendations from him is a tablespoon of ground flax seeds every day. Now, it has to be ground, or it's just going to go through your system. Now, this is a product you can buy, and they also provide it in pre-ground. Personally, I wouldn't buy pre-ground. I would buy ground. I would buy whole flax seeds, and usually I want to see that it's been kept in a refrigerator or in one of those open cooling refrigerators. or that the store sells it very, very quickly, because it's a seed. I keep all my seeds and nuts in the fridge to prevent rancidity. So I just, in a bullet, I just blend this up in a bullet, put it in a glass jar, and say a week's worth, and just do that every week. It's easy. But I have a tablespoon every day of ground flaxseed. I put it in my green smoothies. You put it on salads. You can put it in on top of your breakfast cereal. You know, it's easy. So this is the most natural form of magnesium. It's I always go to food first. Okay, so there we go with that. Now, magnesium comes in many different forms. We have, you can get it in caps. And when I gave Brie caps, I just, in a little mortar and pestle, I would grind them down for a powder so I could easily put it in her food. So we have it in capsules. We also have it in a drink called Calm. And magnesium's good. It relaxes the muscles. So I'm going to talk about it under anxiety later too, because it's really good for calming and relaxing, and to take before you go to sleep at night. This is a product. They have many different forms of this. I like the straight magnesium. They have one for sleep with a few other herbs in it, which could be fine too. It makes a drink, simple and easy, and that will get the bowels moving. Okay, so this is another. I'm just showing you different products, giving you different ideas of things you can try out for yourself, for your children, for your family. Now, this is also psyllium. If you can get the psyllium seeds, get it. Because, you know, magnesium for constipation, the flax seeds, ground psyllium seeds. And as you can see on it, it says colon cleanse. So a little mixture you could do would be 1 tablespoon of the ground flaxseed, and I would grind the seeds too, grind them together. 1 tablespoon of this with a little bit of water is a great thing to try to get your bowels moving. Another idea is a 1/2 teaspoon of this. I would grind it up, and a 1/2 cup of water and soak it overnight. Allow that to expand in there, and then just eat it with cereal the next morning. So these are some of the top ones: the magnesium, the flaxseed, and the psyllium huts. Besides just lots of fruits and vegetables, tons of fruits and vegetables, because that's where your fiber is. Now, another remedy is, and I don't have that herb here, it's 2 parts yellow dock root and 1 part dandelion root. So these come in tinctures. These are really easy to do. This is a good company, and Oregon Wild Harvest. These are the 2 all of these products we have at the co-op where I work. And if I tell you about a product we don't have now, we're going to have it in soon. So I work at a food co-op in New London, New Hampshire. And so we have, I mean, I love it. I love sharing health with people. So this would be 2 parts. From these companies, this is Oregon Wild Harvest, and this is Herb Farm. 2 really good herb companies. And so you could get the yellow dock root in a tincture from them. And 1 part means, the whole point is, even if you used a couple of drops, you would do the same amount from each one. And 1 part licorice root. So you would prepare it like a tea and just drink it like 3 times a day. So, you know, you start small with our little kids, our little special needs kids. You would start really tiny and work up. But you might, I'm just trying to give you, if you've tried everything and nothing works, I'm hoping that some of these, I can't imagine that adding a lot of salad, really good salad, never use iceberg lettuce though, because it's got 0 nutrients. But really good salad, I used to blend up Brie's salads for her and give them in liquid, add them to her more solid blended up food. And green smoothies, I mean that, I can't imagine that not doing the trick, but here are some great ones in case you get stuck. And there's one thing I'm going to tell you about next that's going to be really, really important. I don't have the product on me, but this is a really important product. I'm going to have it in my house from now on, now that I really know about it. I would love you, I mean, I'm going to, tomorrow when I go to work, I'm going to be ordering it to have in the store. I would love you, it's this company. I'm suggesting this company for a reason. If you can zero in on Himalayan. And this is a good product for anxiety, which I'll talk about later, but the company is what this company is 90 years old. The product I'm going to tell you about is an Ayurvedic formula, okay? And what's important about this product, it's one of the absolute best herbal remedies for long-term sluggish digestion and constipation, and especially with our special needs kids. That's so important. I wish I had known about this when Bree was alive. This is like the celery juice. These are things that, you know, I'm sharing with you because I wish so much I had known about them. So this company is 90 years old. It's an Indian company. I was fortunate enough to talk to their herbalist for almost a couple of hours a couple of weeks ago. And oh my Lord, just so much fantastic information. So, so you want, the product's name is, and I'm going to spell it, hopefully you have a pen and paper or come back, or I'll put it into, under the descriptions, I'll write it in. It's TRIPHALA by the Himalayan company. That's the one you want. These people know herbs. These people know Ayurvedic herbs. And these people, you know, that's where they're coming from. So I would go with their formula before any other company's formula. I don't work for any of these people. I just work in a health food store. And I zero in on what I would want for my family and me when I'm dealing with customers. So that's Triphala, I think is how it's pronounced. TRIPHALA. All right. So the nice thing about herbs is they work in harmony with children's systems, so that they do not upset, you know, the delicate ecological balance of their small bodies. That's what's really nice. So the causes are of constipation are, there are certain medications, change in diet, and also excess foods high in fat. Once again, all your dairy products, your milk, your cheeses, your butters, your creams, your cottage cheese, all of those. Your eggs, your wheat, your refined processed food. It's really, really, and even avoid these if a mother's breastfeeding. It's so important, okay? Another thing to consider is a probiotic or acidophilus for your child's stomach. Now the top 3 foods that are probiotic. If you happen to have your own garden and you're pulling the vegetables, you're getting good probiotic there. And if you do your own sprouts on your kitchen counter, you're getting good probiotic there. The top 3 foods are sauerkraut, kimchi, and pickles. And the ones I would recommend are the Bubby's pickles, the real pickles, and Micro Mama's. Those are 3 good brands. I used to just take sauerkraut and I would grind it up for Brie, and I'd give her, I myself have at least a couple of tablespoons of those on my supper plate. But Brie, I would grind up some for her at supper every night. But when we come to probiotics, you have refrigerated probiotics and you have shelf-stable ones. For me, the shelf-stable work better because I can have it on my kitchen counter ready to go. And I really like the Sun Warrior. The company's name is Sun Warrior. I really like their probiotics because they're vegan. And you want to stay away from any dairy or meat or anything, so they're vegan. Sun Warrior probiotics, I like them best. We have these at our store, and so I'm presuming this is a little town, you could get them too. So now I'm going to talk about another remedy, and I think the best thing to do is probably, we'll have the remedies typed up in the description, or I'll talk slowly and you can look at this a couple of times. We'll get it to you one way or another. So the whole idea is to mix up tinctures. One I have here, I just have it in the capsules, not in a tincture. But you're going to make all these in either a liquid or a powder. So slippery elm is one. Then licorice root is another. The one I don't have is Irish moss, which is a sea vegetable. So I would get that, or if you don't have it, I would sprinkle a little dulse, D-U-L-S-E, flakes in, because that'll give you the sea vegetable. These psyllium husks or seeds and flax seeds. So what you would do is, with equal amounts, you would grind them up together so that you have your remedy, and then you would add a teaspoon 3 times a day, or even less. For children under 10, you want even less than that, but into the food. So it would be this, the flaxseed, the psyllium husk, slippery elm, licorice root, and I would try and get the Irish moss and just powder it up, or I would just do dulse flakes, would be fine. Now, the foods that you can maybe increase in your diet, increase in your children's diet, that will be beneficial for regular bowel movements and to help prevent constipation. One is just soaking overnight prunes and apricots. You could combine them very nicely. The one thing I want to tell you though is, when it comes to apricots, you don't want these, the dried apricots. I'm talking about dried prunes and dried apricots. These have sulfur on them. You don't want these. These are the apricots you want. Actually, I should take them out of the bag, just to give you a visual. You know, most people don't realize that, even people coming into the store. I don't know why anybody would buy these instead of, these are the apricots you want. Okay? That's the one, especially your children. You don't want them to have the ones with the sulfur on. So, apricots, and what you do is soak them overnight. And then, so put a good amount of water in them, because you want to use that water after they soaked overnight to put in the foods to cook their breakfast cereal with. They can drink it. So this is another little thing to think about. So apricots and prunes, and drink the water. I mean, you can also eat the fruit, but think about that. That's sort of a nice, gentle way, maybe on a daily basis, to add it to their breakfast cereal, or just to have some teaspoons of it. I'm always thinking of the kids on feeding tubes too, so it's got to be liquid. So this could be a nice liquid to add to the feeding tube. And all these remedies that can be mixed with water and powderized, those are good in the tinctures. So the foods that can, and remember, I blended up Bree's food all her life. So, and you know, to get it through a tube, just put more water in it. The foods to eat to prevent constipation would be, here we go, apples, banana, cherries, dates, mangoes, melons, oranges, leafy greens. Well, what was in the salad and what was in the green smoothie? Tons of leafy greens. I always mix them up, you know, tons. I would make salads with as many ingredients as I could put in to just give her the best variety. Licorice root, you can get that as a plant. Aloe vera. Aloe vera is, you can get the juice, the aloe vera juice from Lily of the Desert, I think it is. Good company for that. Or the gel. And that is great for any IBS, Crohn's, any stomach issues whatsoever. You can just take a shot glass a day. Done. You know, the juice or the gel. If one thing you need to know, if you're dealing with constipation, you want to use the whole leaf. So you probably want to use the whole leaf gel and just add it to, because that will deal with constipation. So, because when you just use the inner fillet, F-I-L-L-E-T, aloe vera, you're just getting the inside, and that won't cause, it won't cause diarrhea or anything. But if you're dealing with a child who's chronically constipated, you want to use the whole leaf gel, okay, lily of the desert, for the constipation. But I'm really focused on the Himalayan herb that I think is so important. So just giving you options here, options to try. Sea vegetables, once again, foods that will help prevent constipation. Sea vegetables are so important in so many ways. I will be talking more and more about this. And they take heavy metals out of your body. And heavy metal toxicity has a lot to do with seizures, which I'll talk about later. So important. So you could, the dulse flakes, you can buy dulse whole, but you can buy dulse flakes and just sprinkle it on salads. So right away, a salad with dulse on it and maybe some ground flaxseed on it. That's every day. This will prevent constipation, will help prevent and keep the bowels moving. And pears, asparagus soup, great option, and papaya. So these are some ideas. The other thing is, besides high fiber foods and liquid, is exercise. I mean, I did a stimulation program with Bree, so she was moving all day. But, you know, the floor belonged to Bree. Get her down on the floor. I gave her every opportunity to move. And, you know, start with the inclined plane, because that puts gravity on her side. And just so many times a day, put her in there. And she, you know, everybody wants to move. Everybody wants to move. And as we get older, we have to still keep moving, or things shut down. Our body says, oh, you know, so we have to move more even as we get older. So really, everybody needs to move. I hope these have given you some ideas, just some other things to think about, because I know how frustrating it is. I've lived it, and when Bree started having regular bowel movements, great. The thing is that I know now that if I had known about celery juice, heavy metal toxicity when she was alive, and this Indian Himalayan, I'm quite sure she would still be alive. It just wasn't, but maybe I can help other people this way. Thank you.